Hi, welcome to Module 6. This is Part 3. I'm going to start out by just going through these four main categories within passive home design, and then we're going to jump past the slides with the definitions. If you would like to look at the definitions, please take the time to read because they are available to you. So, passive solar design are working on four basic concepts. One is proper orientation of windows or whatever surface might be your open surfacing, the surfacing that you want sunlight to enter through. Then thinking about when that sunlight gets through, what is your thermal mass? How are you going to take that sunlight, absorb it, and convert it into heat energy? So what do you have that's a conductor? Right? Distribution mechanisms. So are you opening up the floor plan so that there's an easy way for air to move around? And then is there some way to get the heat to escape to keep the home cool when it needs to be so? And then control strategies. How am I keeping everything moving around the home? How am I orienting this house to make it work for me? What are my controls? One of the simplest controls that people forget about is silly things like orienting your roof so that you maximize sunlight in the winter, so that the lips or overhangs or angling of the roof structure allows sunlight to enter through the winter when it's low in the sky, right? So my angle of my home and the sunlight can get right in. And then that angle will block that sun from getting in. When the sun is high in the sky up here, it won't get past the roof structure. So passive solar home design is maximizing sunlight in my cold months, winter, and minimizing sunlight in my warm months, my summers, right? So I'm getting things that are appropriately angled and built to the proper structure. So once again, these are my explanations of those four concepts. Read through them as necessary. And let's ooh and ah a little bit. Here is a home structure. Here is the basic layout of that home structure within itself, right? And we're maximizing sunlight. So this is an orientation to the south in this case, and I'm taking advantage of the sunlight. And I have good angling of the roof so I can block out the sunlight I do not want in the summer months, but I can maximize it when the sun is low in the sky. It can get right in my winter months. And once again, good control and ventilation systems within it, right? So this is my structures and how I'm getting my air around. Some more ooh and ah. Here is the attached greenhouse concept, where this is an extension room on the house, but allows me to maximize or use this like a little furnace that I can then open up all these surfaces and let the heat into my building when I want the heat to enter. And when I want to block that heat out, I can close all these inner surfaces and block the heat out of my thermal home. Here's one that's talking about that angling of roof structure to make sure I'm maximizing sunlight. And it's just gorgeous. Ooh and ah. And then this one's just such a fun concept piece, but same thing. And this one obviously has nice even flow where I have a little princess balcony that overlooks. So I'm allowing the air to circulate through. One of the structures that has excellent roof circulation is the shape of a barn. A barn's roof structure is one that's built to allow good circulation of air maximized within its facility, which is why barn structures were built for areas that we were not going to heat or control heat in, and we did not need private rooms for. And so we would build these structures to allow the air to circulate, but also to allow something like the big animals, the horses and the cows, that are providing a lot of body heat themselves to heat the building and assist these smaller animals, which might be in the rafters like chickens, to be warm as well within the structure. So that structure of a barn has excellent circulation on itself. So it allows me to ventilate or create controls within heat structures, right? So refining the design. There are simple things that one can do to refine a design and make the home really work as a passive solar structure. Some of them is to insulate and to have air sealing. I want to seal up all of my leaky surfaces. I don't want anything to leak air without me being able to control it. I want to determine when air should leak. I want to be able to open the window when I want air to come in and out. When the window is closed, I do not want the window seams to be leaking, right? Window location, glaze type. Windows have a lot of options nowadays. I can glaze out sunlight that I do not want. If I have something that's facing the south and it's just gaining too much heat energy because of its angling and I'm getting too much in the summer months, I now have the option to glaze or shade out my window, right? Thermal mass and location types, think of things that are excellent conductors. They're good at absorbing heat energy. They're not good at holding on to that heat energy, which brings in the idea of maintaining heat within a surface, which also brings up if I have a floor that happens to be tile, so it has a lot of ability to conduct heat through it, I'm sharing the heat energy with it, I can do something like put a rug down in the winter months when I do not want to be sharing my heat energy because it is cold. And so I can do things to maximize the properties of a room. You can do things like seasonal. If I have a room and I want a rug down, I can change. I have the same material, but I know that black will absorb the entire spectrum of light. So in the winter months, I might bring in a black or dark colored rug to maximize the amount of sunlight absorption and transference to heat energy. And then in the summer months, I might lighten up the color of the rug and select something that's a white or a light color, very, very mild sky blue or something, to change out what I'm receiving in sunlight, right? Same material, but they have a capacity for absorption of sunlight that's very different. And then the final part to think about in redefining our design is auxiliary heat. What am I doing? Am I auxiliary cooling? What systems am I using in this home to really maintain the temperatures that are currently balanced in my design? 3 ways to design a passive solar home. Indirect gains. This is where I'm using things like south-facing windows to take advantage of my heat and its ability. Direct gains, these are some type of structure or some type of thing I am adding onto my home to maximize my heat energy, whether it be that indirect gain by building that little greenhouse type structure, or putting in a Trumby wall, or am I putting in some type of thermal mass item that's taking advantage of heat. And then finally, insulated gains. These are ones where I'm creating bubble or thermal rooms. This is my sunroom, my attached greenhouse to the home, my structure that I'm going to add on the side. I've seen somebody who's doing an experiment with like kind of like these black rain barrel things that are doing catch of sunlight. And so they're collecting the air and then they're opening up these barrels that are like attached to windows. It's a kind of a bizarre concept, but it makes sense. They're taking and they're heating up air in these barrels, and then they're opening them up and using them as these heat little oven kind of structures, allowing the home to be heated during times of cold. It's kind of smart, but they are storing it up for evening, and that's the way that structure works. But that would be an indirect gain. Some more passive solar design, just gorgeous. Look at the thermal mass on that, right? And this is kind of a combo where they're doing this little structure. And I actually know what this home is. This home has a gray water system. So this is a gray water system where they're recycling the non-sewage water. So this is like things like shower water or dishwashing water, right? So they're using that to grow. Another beautiful one with thermal mass down below. Another structure with thermal mass, and this one has sunshades on the roof. This is blocking out the sunlight from getting in the summer months, but it pulls back for the winter months. It actually slides back, so it slides up here and allows the sunlight in. Another beautiful structured home. This one's big and open. Once again, flooring is granite, so thermal mass. Gorgeous, right? Now we're going to talk about some active systems. I'm going to start out when we talk about heating of water, because we want to be able to bathe, right? We want hot water in our world. And so we're going to talk about 2 passive hot water systems and then some active hot water systems. This is a picture of a home that's inside your book. And right here, this is the actual solar panels. These are solar panels, and I can tell that they're solar panels because I can actually see the circuiting running, right? This is flat plate collectors. These are hot water heaters. This one on this side. So residential private use solar energy, passive and active systems. Just a little bit just talking about the book, chapter 6, radiant energy. Once again, just looking at different text and materials, which brings us to hot water heater systems. So before I go, if you have not seen your hot water heater in your home, please go find it, and I will pick you up with a part 3, or is this part 4? Part 4 on our system. But but know what your hot water looks like, your hot water heating system looks like.